All right, so I'm doing something different with Commander Masters coming out and all the downshifts and everything like that. I thought it'd be fun to look at a couple of like quick brews. I'm not a brewer. That is, my community is more the brew people. I'm not. I'm just an idiot. But I thought it would be fun to just kind of like maybe present some ideas and see where it can go from there. This is a list that is built around Crawling Infestation. Now, this is a card I'm excited about. A lot of people says it sucks. Maybe, I don't know. But let's just talk about our mana base real quick. We are a Golgari deck. Golgari for life. We have 1 Jungle Hollow, 4 River Tears Overlook, 5 Snow Forest, 5 Snow Covered Forests, 7 Snow Covered Swamps, and 4 Woodland Chasms as our mana base. Now, this is a list that is kind of bar backed off of Golgari Graves, which is a deck I've covered. It's also a deck that White Lotus has covered. If you want to check those out, check out those videos. It's a really, really sweet deck. But this is a deck that's going to be built kind of around Crawling Infestation. This is a 3-drop enchantment that at the beginning of your next upkeep, you may mill 2 cards. Whenever 1 or more creatures are put into the graveyard from anywhere during your turn, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. This ability only triggers once each turn. That last line of dialogue there, this ability triggers only once each turn, is probably what makes this card bad. But I look at the artwork, right? Like, the artwork is so cool. I like the idea of this card a lot. It reminds me of something like Nest of Scarabs, which is a card that's near and dear to my heart. So I like the idea of it. It fills our graveyard up. It gives us creatures. But what are we going to do with these creatures? Well, we are going to kind of use Dread Return. We're either going to like chump block with them or use Dread Return with them. So Dread Return is return target creature card from your graveyard to your battlefield. Sacrifice 3 creatures. The idea is we're going to use Crawling Infestation to get creatures onto the battlefield to sacrifice with Dread Return. We also have other creatures we could sacrifice with Dread Return, and the idea is we're going to use Dread Return to get a Ludoreth Giant into the battlefield. So let's just talk about what else we have going on the deck. We also have 2 Knot of the Bones here to kind of stabilize, gain some life, to prolong the game, because we're kind of like, in a weird way, comboing off with Ludoreth Giant. The idea is we want to fill our graveyard as much as possible, and then Dread Return, Ludoreth Giant. Dread Return is a 4-drop, or it's a return target creature to the battlefield if you sacrifice 3 creatures. So the idea is we're going to be milling over our deck with Crawling Infestation, playing some creatures to get onto the battlefield, and then Dread Return and hopefully win with game by just 1 spot burning almost with Ludoreth Giant. So what else we have going on here? Well, the rest is just all creatures, because every time we mill over a creature with Crawling Infestation, we get a creature. Every time we play a creature, we're going to mill, potentially get a creature if we don't hit it with that turn. So we have 2 Carrion Grubs. This is a 4-drop 0/5 where it gets +X+0, where X is the greatest power among creatures in your graveyard. Enters the battlefield, it mills 4 cards. So it mills a lot, but a lot of the time it's going to be a 5/5 or it's going to be a 6/5. We have 3 Eerie Soul Tenders and a battlefield, mill 3 cards, but it has a flashback ability that is tap 5 and exile Eerie Soul Tender from your graveyard. Return another target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's another way we can find our giant. It's another way we can find a Necromass to replay. We also have 4 Gorging Vultures that when it enters the battlefield, put the top 4 cards of your library into the graveyard. You gain 1 life for each creature card put into your graveyard this way. We have 4 Loaded, I don't know how you actually say this. Lodoleth Giants? I don't know. It's a 6/5 with Undergrowth. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each target opponent for each creature card in your graveyard. We have 30 creatures. So the idea is like, it's basically going to win the game for us, right? It's basically a 1-shot kill kind of thing. Not guaranteed, but that's kind of the idea. 1 Mass Vandal as just a utility creature. 4 Mere Tritons, a Death Touch 2/1. Enters the battlefield, mills 2 cards, gain 2 life. Obviously, we're trying to prolong the game a little bit with life gain through Gorging Vulture, Knot of the Bone, and Mere Triton. Mere Triton, also having Death Touch, can block really well, but can also attack really well. 4 Priests of the Haunted Edge. This is why we're playing our Snow Zombies. You tap it, sacrifice it. Target creature gets -X to end a turn, where X is the number of snow lanes you control. You can only activate this 1 time Only anytime you can cast a sorcery. It is important to note this is a 0/4, so it's kind of a big butt to get around. 4 Satyr Wayfinders to help us find some land, but also to fill up our graveyard, and 4 Writhing Necromasses to finish it out. Now, there could be an argument of playing like 1 or 2 copies of Unearth instead of 4 copies of Dread Return. I mean, not Unearth, Crawl from the Cellar. That's definitely something we could do. And there's also something to be said about the fact we're not playing Dredgers, and that's because we're already going to mill ourselves a ton. So we want to rely on like actually having like natty draws. Does that make any sense? Sideboard wise, 3 Crypt Rats, 2 Fairy Macabres, 3 Mass Vandals, 3 Spell Bombs, and 4 Rancid Earth to just kind of round it out. Kind of just a nice simple sideboard, kind of deals with everything pretty nicely. But that is the Infestation deck with Crawling Infestation. Don't know how good Crawling Infestation is going to be. I want to try it out when I get back to streaming next week, but it looks cool. The next deck is a Gruul Ramp deck. When I saw this, I had been in love with this card. Let me change my options here. I might have to do that for every one I'm going to get to. And that is Crash of the Rhino Beetles. This whole deck is built around this card and this card only. So let's talk about why we're playing 24 lands and the cards we're choosing. Is because Crash of the Rhino Beetles is a 5-drop 5/5 with a trample that as long as you control 10 or more lands, it gets +10/+10. The idea is we're going to try to get as many lands on the field as possible. So Rhinos is a 15/15 every time. We have 4 Darksteel Citadels, 4 Slagwood Bridges, 4 Indestructible Lands, because we're also playing Cleansing Wildfire and Geomancer's Gambit. There is an argument for trimming out 2 lands, 1 Forgotten Cave and 2 Tranquil Thickets, to play more artifact lands, just to be safe. I would have to try the deck out to see how that runs. 8 Forest, 5 Mountains is our basics, and then 3 Cyclo lands for draw power, because we don't have like a ton of draw power here. But again, these could be changed out for our artifact lands. But these are kind of here in case we start getting a little flooded a little bit. We are running our creature-wise, we're all in on the big game. We have 4 Sakura Tribe Elders to get more lands. We have 4 Arboreal Grazers to play more lands. And then we have Annoyed Altasaur, Boarding Party, and Crash of the Rhino Beetles to just cascade into a bunch of stuff, large creatures, and just attack. Boarding Party and Annoyed Altasaur can all find Crash of the Rhino Beetles. Sorceries, we're all in on the ramp plan. 4 Cleansing Wildfires, 2 Geomancer's Gambit, and 4 Kodama's Reach. Kodama Reach is really cool. You can search your library for 2 basic land cards, reveal one of those. One goes on the battlefield, one goes in your hand, so you're always hitting your lands, pretty much. 4 Breath Weapons to slow down the go wide decks early on, and 2 Pulse Morasses to pick up cards that we need and to kind of stall the game out. Because I think once we get the Rhino, we get the Rhino. You know what I mean? Sideboard-wise, 4 Cast into Fire, 4 Red Elemental Blast, 2 Tranquilities, 2 Twin Silk Spiders, and 3 Weather the Storms. Just kind of a catch-all. Twin Silk has just been really, really good against flying decks over and over and over again. So I'm a big fan of this. But also, you know, it's all about that. Let's stall the game out so we can ramp up. But yeah, ideally, you want to go like turn 1 Grazer into, you know, extra lands and then start Wildfire and stuff like that. You don't, that's the thing is like Rhino Beetles is good as a 5/5. Like you don't have to make it a 15/15. It's good as a 5/5. It's just insane as a 15/15. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what we got going on the deck. I'm excited for something like this. I'm very excited for Crash of the Rhino Beetles. I think this card is going to be sweet, and I think it's going to be very, very played. Maybe. I don't know. Seems good, though. Then last but not least is a all-in Dredge. Let's try to go combo kind of deck. This is the deck I don't think I have a lot of anticipation for actually being like playable. But we'll see. Right? We'll see. So here's what we got going on. We're all in on the combo route. We have Black Dragon Gate, Cliff Gate. As enters the battlefield tapped, we can find our land. We need, access to red and green really bad. So honestly, like, but we also need access to black. So like Black Dragon Gate could probably be the green gate, but I'm in the black gate because of Dread Return. 4 Dross Force Bridges, 4 Kalani Gardens, 1 Mountain, and 1 Swamp. We're playing the Gardens because we need tokens for Dread Return, and then we have Cathartic Reunion and Faithless Looting. So the idea is really we want basically like we want like Nest Invader. Well, let's just talk about what we're doing. We are in on Dread returning Luderoth Giant, basically. We're doing the same thing as last time. This time we're trying to be a little bit more combo-y using Dredge. Obviously, you can tell what cards I'm excited about for this set. But that's what we're kind of in on. So the idea is to like Faithless Looting, finding, you know, something, but we can just start dredging too. We have a lot of dredgers between Golgari Brownscale, Shambling Shell, and Stinkweed Imp to just start to fill up our graveyard. Basically, like once we have 3 creatures, we're off to the races. So Nest Invader is really good for that. We also have Basking Rudawalla, which is a Madness 0, so we can ditch it to Faithless Looting or Cathartic Reunion to get it out onto the field. We have the Garden to get cards out on the field. Ideally, we can turn 2 Giant with this deck. That's the Nutzoids, but that is a thing we can do. Turn 1 Garden and to turn 2 Faithless Looting. You know what I mean? And then, no, we can't turn 2, can we? We can turn 3 Giant. We can't turn 2 it, because we got to get Nest Invader out, too. No, we could turn 2. We could Faithless Looting and pitch 2 Rudawallas. This is obviously like the dream hand, right? Garden, 2 Rudawallas, and Faith. I wish there was other Madness 0 creatures. There's not. I've looked. I wish there was. But yeah, you can Faithless Looting, pitch the Rudawallas, and just start dredging a bunch and hope for the best. And then Dread Return for the Goliath, the Giant. But yeah, that's what we got going on. That's the whole idea. The whole idea is like use Nest Invader, Satyr Wayfinder, Rudawalla, and the Gardens as our sack creatures for Dread Return. Or Mere Triton even. And then just fill up the graveyard with our litany of dredgers and try to hit that Dread Return and the Giant, and that's it. I mean, it's going to be inconsistent as hell, but I thought it could be fun, you know? I just want modern style combo Dredge and Pauper. Is that so much to ask for? Just have a broken deck? Like, can we just downshift Ox of Agonas, Prized Amalgam, Silver Smoot Ghoul, Creeping Chill, and Narcomoeba? I don't feel like I'm asking for the world here. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's kind of what we got going on. There's also an argument we could possibly do like otherworldly gaze as well to kind of filter, but that's what I got right now. Sideboard wise, 4 Ancient Grudge, 4 Knot of the Bones, 4 Spell Bombs, and 3 Red Elemental Blast. We're obviously not going to like interact with our combo very much. So like Knot of the Bone for burnish matchups to kind of hold the game out while we combo off. Ancient Grudge can be flashbacked. Now Spell Bomb for one-sided Graveyard Hate. Red Elemental Blast, because why not? This is not a deck I think you're sideboarding very much. I think you're just going to try to run wide open. It is worth noting we're running less creatures than the Infestation deck, but like I said, we're trying to combo a little bit here. So don't know how this deck will run, but I think it will be fun. Hopefully, if we can turn to a Giant, it will be worth it. But those are just 3 ideas that I've kind of come up with just tinkering around with the new set. I think this new set's going to be balls to the wall, insane for Pauper. I think it's going to play and have a lot of deck changes. A lot of things are going to be played and tried out, and I'm just curious to see how the tiles fall, if you will. But these are just some ideas I just threw together real quick. Maybe try to get somebody who's a little bit better than me, get their brain juice flowing a little bit. But I hope you all have a wonderful day. If you want to support the channel, you can consider becoming a member. Link in the description. It's 99 cents a month, and you will see the perks you get. I think it's a pretty loaded 99 cents, personally. But also, outside of that, you can do it for free by just subscribing, liking, commenting, and sharing the videos as well. I'm out of here. Hopefully, I'll catch you in a stream next week. I'm excited for this set. Bye, everybody.